Good morning. Welcome back to Coffee and Colorful Conversation. Happy Wednesday. I'm doing something a little different with my microphone today. I have a bad head cold. I took some Tylenol PM before bed, so I had some crazy dreams. But crazily enough, the dream that I had completely coincides with what I wanted to talk about on today's coffee chat. So as you know, I always think ahead, think about the topic. I put it in my phone on the day of the coffee chat so I remember, because my memory isn't what it used to be and I have a lot going on. So yesterday was a crazy day. We had painters here. We're finally getting the outside of the house painted. We've been waiting for almost a year because construction's so crazy here in Florida, and all the contractors are booked up and the supplies are limited and all of that. So they were here painting, and my husband had to move our cars because they spray some of the paint and they didn't want the paint to get on our cars. So we finally splurged and got my husband a newer car. It's not brand new, but he has been driving around in a 1997 Hoopty Beachmobile, and he's been a good sport about it. We decided we no longer wanted car payments weighing us down. We wanted to live at the beach at whatever costs we had to possibly give other things up, and one of those things was new cars. So I drive a 2002. He was driving a 1997, which is older than both of my kids. We still have it. We're not getting rid of it. But we put them on the street, and he got a beautiful SUV that he's been wanting and loves it. He's only had it 5 days. Parked it on the street, and our neighbor just plowed into it and just smashed it yesterday. So it's been interesting. I have a bad cold. We got our car smashed. Our house is upside down with people working in here. My drawers are pulled apart. All my things are all over the place. I couldn't find my makeup this morning, and I didn't feel like putting it on anyway because I don't feel good. But coffee chat, the show must go on. I never miss a coffee chat. So I'm moving my microphone closer to me so that my little froggy, nasally voice is more easily heard. But because I was in a drug-induced sleep last night, my dream was I was driving. I guess the whole car thing came into the dream because it was top of mind with the whole disaster yesterday. But I was driving on a bridge, and my husband's always telling me, like, do you know when you drive into a big puddle of water, like it can totally, pull you into you can basically drown in your car and all this. He's captain safety. So I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I always just drive through those puddles, but really slow. So he's like, no, you do not want to drive through those things. So in my dream, I was going over a bridge. He was behind me. We were in separate cars because that's been happening a lot while here with these car situations. And I saw that everybody was starting to turn around on the bridge because of this big puddle. So my head wanted to keep going because that's what I would always do. And then my back of my mind was like, oh no, Jeff said don't do that. That's dangerous. Turn around. So I ended up turning around, and the result was worse. I was worse off. The whole bridge collapsed when I turned around, and I would have survived if I went through the puddle. So why am I telling you that? So yesterday, also before I went to bed, I found a piece of paper that I can't even believe I held on to it. It's from 2018 from a workshop that I went to in San Diego. So 7 years ago, I decided I wanted to teach other hairdressers how to be better colorists in simplifying formulation. I feel like it's been made to be so much more difficult than it has to be. So that was my passion project, and I did it for many years at very little money. I taught at shows for free and almost free. I did it for like 3 years straight. And in 2018, I said, this is crazy. I have to be able to make a living. I do love what I'm doing, but how can I find a way to say it once instead of saying it over and over and over again on different stages and traveling and all the things? Why not do it virtually? But I had no idea how to make that happen because this was 7 years ago. So we didn't have Zoom. I'm sure Zoom existed, but not for the hairdresser. It was more corporate. We didn't have the ability that we have now with technology. So I was like, okay, I'll make a DVD and I'll record my boot camp once on a DVD. And it was painful. It was long. It was drawn out. I couldn't even watch it myself back. So I went to this workshop and was learning how to be a digital educator. And it was in 2018. And I'm sharing this with you because not all of you want to be a digital educator. It's not about that, but all of you have dreams and goals, and you think that you're never going to get there, and it's just too big of a thing and too hard. And I want to tell you, it's you. It's your thoughts that are keeping you stuck. So today's talk, hang in there. If I'm losing you, hang in there. I promise it'll be worth it, because it's all about pricing in the salon. I'm going to bring it back and relate it to you, I promise. But this is something I'm going to share. I'm going to be vulnerable and share this. I didn't even share this with my own husband or children. It was a self-confidence piece in creating this new business. The prompt was, write the story you currently have about yourself, or you currently tell about yourself. That's an important word. Tell the story you currently tell yourself about yourself. I said, my story about myself right now is that I am way too scattered and unorganized to make all of this a standalone career. I cannot charge enough for education to make a living and pay all of my bills. I am tired of undercharging for both my hair color services and my educational courses and webinars. I have a hard time remembering what I didn't know to realize that my audience is much bigger than I thought. I feel like I am abandoning my entire family in chasing this dream. I'm risking everyone's financial future. So in 2018, my son was getting ready to go to college. I was unhappy and burned out behind the chair. I had this burning passion to do what I now do, but didn't know how to replace the income of me behind the chair. I share with you very often, I was a six-figure earner behind the chair, and I'm very proud of that because it's not easy, but it's very attainable if you take the steps to make it happen. You being the big word there, you take the steps to make it happen. Not waiting for the salon, not waiting for a genie in a bottle to pop out and tap you on the head and say you're a six-figure stylist. It takes work and it takes planning. So my belief during that workshop was I'm never going to be able to replace the income behind the chair. And literally from 2018 to 2020, I still had that belief. I was like, oh my gosh, I've lost my mind. I can't believe I'm giving up all these clients and all of this guaranteed good money. I was earning really good money behind the chair, and everybody was happy with that but me. So I was in the middle of being coached by a life coach, and at the end of the coaching, it was like, walk away from the salon, walk away from your house, walk away from everything, move to the beach, do everything you wanted to do. It's now or never. And I was like, oh my gosh, my daughter, I have college loans for my daughter. My son's just starting college. Like, how in the world am I going to make this happen? And fast forward to now, I can tell you that it did happen, and it happened a lot easier than I thought that it would. So remember, in the dream, me going through that puddle was scary because, my husband said, don't go through the puddle. It's not going to end well. But turning around in my dream didn't end well. So me turning around and going back to what I thought was safer was not the good ending. Me charging through that puddle and saying, well, I'm gonna fall off this bridge if I don't go through this puddle. So why not try going through the puddle? So it all worked out for me, and I'm so grateful for all of you that allowed me to earn that living and still support my family, minus being behind the chair. So it's a win-win for everyone, because I'm a much happier person. So I'm a better teacher, I'm a better mom, I'm a better wife, I'm a better friend, I'm a better everything, because I'm finally happy. So what are you doing right now that you think you're being the martyr? You're doing it because you think you have to do it for all your loved ones, but you're so miserable that your loved ones really don't like being around you, because you're just sad and depressed and, not having fun, not living your life because you feel responsible for what you've always done. So today's coffee chat, I want to share with you that December, welcome to December, by the way. It is the 1st, right? Yeah, perfect. So December 1st, this is the perfect topic to talk about price increase, because we've all been in this state of fear from the COVID situation and lockdowns and all of those things. And then we think, how could I possibly go back to work after I've been off for all that time and raise my prices? Well, I think you'll agree that the people who sell us gloves and foil and hair color, especially, are not apologizing for their price increases. There is a lot of shortages in supplies. You see all the memes floating around with 6N. You know, Kermit is going out on a little boat trying to get 6N off of a ship. We're struggling just as much as everyone else is. And for whatever reason, hairstylists feel like we're always the last ones to step up and say, I matter, I'm worthy. So I want to ask you, do you think that you're worthy? Do you think that your pricing makes sense for you? So I'm going to put a poll up, and it says, do you think you're worthy of a price increase? And I want to check in with you, and I want you to really dig deep and really be honest and say, yes, I am. No, I'm not. Because our belief is what keeps us stuck. And nobody can help us with that belief. Nobody can change the belief for us. We have to change it. My money story goes way back to being a kid and watching my parents. And, you know, their motto and their brand with all of the businesses that they had was always, let's be the average everyday man's business. You know, the average everyday person that can't afford, you know, a typical wedding venue, we're going to create a wedding venue that's affordable for them. And that was great. And it really filled a void. People really appreciate it. I got married there. My siblings, well, actually my sister and I both got married there. My brother, we didn't have it by the time he got married. So my mom would always give the lowest price of anyone else. She would call around and pretend she was having a wedding like we do, you know, in the salon, and people still do it. She would call around and say, how much is it per plate for, you know, 100-person wedding, sit down dinner, chicken, whatever. They would give her a price. She would lower hers by $20 a plate. And that was her way of pricing. So I was brought up that way. So my money story was really hard to shake, you know, with thinking that I'm worthy or I'm not worthy. When I left the salon that I worked in, I worked for a little under 2 years, and it was a really expensive salon, and I never felt worthy of the prices. I hid behind the front desk. I would blame them for any pricing. If the pricing was high and the client kind of made a face at the ticket, I would say, I just work here. I don't make the prices. And it was easy for me to do that, to put it on someone else. But when I opened my salon, I was like, oh gosh, I'm going to be seen now as the person who makes the prices. I have to be held accountable for that. So whatever my pricing was at the salon that was expensive, when I opened my salon, I was 22 years old. I was by myself. It was much smaller. It was like 400 square feet. The other salon was, you know, probably 4,000 square feet, something like that. And I just took their prices and chopped them in half. There was no rhyme or reason. I didn't pay attention to what is my rent, you know, what is my cost per client to do the service. I didn't do any of that stuff. I had no idea what I was doing. It was an emotional decision. I said, if I want anyone to follow me from that expensive salon to my little salon, I'm going to have to be 50% less than what they were. So I just chopped it in half. And I look at my menu from my first salon, and I just shake my head and I say, you poor girl, why didn't anybody tell you that you were worthy, that you were enough? Why did you think that you had to take what you were already doing and chop it in half to make other people feel comfortable coming to see you? Why did you not think that the beautiful hair color and cuts and all the things that you did for those clients was enough? So where do you draw that line? Where do you find that worthiness to where you are? So right now in the poll, 10 people have said, hell yeah. So congratulations. 0 have said no, but 4 said not sure. So it's interesting because I talk about the 80-20 rule all the time. So right now we're at 71-29. So we're almost at that 80-20. So the people who said, hell yeah, I want to hear from you. When's the last time you raised your prices? Are you charging right now exactly what you believe you are worth for each service? December 1st is the absolute best time to raise your prices. It's just far enough into the Christmas holiday season, but not right the week before. Clients will not leave you at the holidays. They're not going to shop and find another stylist. So if your fear of not raising prices is they're going to leave me, December 1st could not be a better time. It is the best time to raise your prices. January is the worst time to raise your prices. So I'm anxious. I don't want to make my poll go away, but I would love to see the comments. Let me go on my phone because most people are like, oh, I plan on doing that in the new year. I plan on doing it January 1st. Trust me, people get pissed off when you raise it in the beginning of January because they're tapped out. They've spent any extra money they've had on family and friends for gifts. They're feeling overwhelmed with being in debt all of a sudden over a holiday. All the hot chocolate and yumminess of the holidays has gone away. And the reality of the financial piece has clicked in. And they don't want to spend extra money. So in January, think about it. December 1st, clients are on autopilot. They're like, oh, December 1st, I really should start thinking about this Christmas thing. And they start doing things at work to wrap projects up, to have free time during the holidays. They don't want to think about their hair. It's the last thing they want to think about. And hopefully, if you're doing things, smart, you're having them pre-book those holiday appointments so that you're not, having people freak out. Can you squeeze me in? Can you stay late? Can you come in early? Can you skip your lunch? We all know how that goes. And you should not be doing those things. So December, the client is just happy to get an appointment. They don't want to have to switch people. They don't want to risk having their color look different when they see people over the holidays. So if you've thought about it and if you know deep down you're worthy and you're ready, this is the time to do it today. I want you to go into your salon, open that computer. If you have the ability to do that, if you work in a salon, talk to your owner. I, as an owner, would never say no to somebody who feels they're worthy of charging a higher price. I would say, oh my gosh, yes, let's do it. It's the opposite for me. I always have pushback when I'm raising people who work with me their price because they don't feel ready when I know they're ready. So then you might ask, how do I know if I'm ready? So the general rule of thumb is if you're booked, you're 80% booked for 2 weeks in a row for 3 months in a row is a good general rule. So you look at your book and you can't get anybody in for a solid 2 weeks, and that's happening month after month for 3 months, you're ready. And it doesn't have to be an across the board raise everything. I think people get caught up in that. So we are a la carte. So for me, I would say right now, our colorists are jam slammed busy. We're departmentalized. So our colorists, they don't have an appointment in sight. They're so busy because their clients come every 5 weeks, and then they don't necessarily get cut every 5 weeks. So for us, I would say, let's just raise the color right now and not raise cut and blow dry so that client gets a slight increase, but they're not overwhelmed. I don't recommend, in general, doing it across the board. And then you might say, well, how much? The state of our industry is in such turmoil right now. Somebody just changed their answer because we went down to 68% on hell yeah. So maybe what I just said about being booked made you change your answer. But the state of the industry has never been more just in turmoil. 100,000 people in our industry left during COVID. I just heard that quoted on a podcast and I just shook my head. It really hurts my heart because I know how much training we go through and how much we give to our clients and our bodies and all that we give up for what we do. And for that many people to have walked away during COVID, it's both a blessing and gift and a hardship because for owners, it's already hard to find good staff. So now it's harder because 100,000 people are missing from that pool of potential employees. The gift is you should be booked. If you're not booked right now, let's talk about that. If you're not booked right now, I don't want you to keep saying, but I post every day on Instagram, but I hand out my cards everywhere I go. Think about yourself. I think about me. I've struggled since I've moved to Florida. I'm so spoiled. My staff is so amazing, and I just have loved the way they've done my hair for so long, and my best friend does my hair amazing. So between my best friend and my colorist at my salon, I was spoiled. Well, I'm not going to fly to Philadelphia to get my hair done now I'm gray. Now I need my hair done like every 4 weeks at the latest. I'm gray. So that's not a reality. And I've gone to several different salons here in Florida, and it's just not quite what I'm looking for. And I know what I want, but I can't do it myself. I've tried. I've done a better job myself sometimes on my highlights, but not everything, not the retouch. So it's difficult. And if you're not busy, you need to find out the why behind not being busy. Is it because, somebody wrote in a Facebook forum yesterday, when I first started at this job, I was doing a lot of clients. Now, not so much. Well, for me as a coach, I'm like, ding, 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 retention. Your salon is providing you with people and you're not retaining them. So you going out onto Instagram and upping your posts and filtering your photos and doing jazz hands and doing TikToks and pointing to things. Yeah, you may get more clients in your chair, but if you're not making them happy and your skills are not up to par, you are now, in a boat that has a tiny little hole in it, and the boat keeps filling up with water and you keep bailing the water out. That's basically the scenario that's happening. You're going to keep going through client after client after client. And what happens is they're telling you they like it because they're not going to hurt your feelings. So you think, what's going on? These clients loved what I did. Why are they not coming back? Oh, it must be the front desk. Maybe they couldn't get in with me. Maybe they're not answering the phone. Like we blame, we play the blame game. So don't blame anyone. Just sit with it a little bit and look at your track record. Go back in your book. Anytime I had a slow day, and this is 35 years into being behind the chair. This was not brand new, habits. Anytime I had a day that I had like a 4-hour gap, I was like, whoa, what's going on? Something's going on. Either the phone's not getting answered, we're not answering emails, we're not getting back to people, or something's up. Maybe I'm not at my top of my game and I'm losing people. What's up? I would go back in the book exactly 5 weeks from that exact day, and that day would be slow every single time. And it's because people pre-book. So if I had a slow day today, 5 weeks from now, that same day is going to be slow unless I say, okay, this was a slow day. I'm not having that happen in 5 weeks. And I do something about it. I make an offer. I do a bring your friend, get 50% off. I do, come in and have a blow dry lesson. Like I will fill that time with any way that I possibly can because I don't want that cycle to be every 5 weeks I have a dead day. So find out the root of the issue and don't think, I'm in the workshop. It started on Monday. I don't feel good. So it's been 8-9 hours a day in front of the computer. My daughter keeps texting me saying, get up and walk around. You're going to have blood clots. So it's intense, but it's a great workshop. And the first thing they said yesterday was they did a list. These are the top 10 things you can do in 2022 to make an impact and make your business better. And number one was raise your prices. They're like, it's the most instant thing that you can do to inject more income into your life. And it's your choice. So if you don't increase your income by 15% every year that you're behind your chair or owning your salon or whatever your role is, if your income does not increase 15% every year, you will not survive. It has to be an increase in your income. You can't stay the same and you can't go backwards. You can, but you're not going to survive because everything else around you is increasing by that percentage. So think about that when you're fearful of like every single year, if you're doing everything you should be doing and you're getting the education and your skills are on par with your pricing, you should have a minimum of a 10% increase every single year because you should be booked to that 80% and you should be pre-booking and you should be doing all of those things. If you're not, it's up to you. So make your goal for January to be so booked that you're ready for a price increase, but don't do it in January. January is the worst time to do it. The next best time to do it is April. So usually December and April are the best months. It's just a thing. I don't have any facts backing me up. It's just I've been doing this a long time. And summer tends to get quiet, so you don't want to do it in the summer. And January, I talked about already the reason not to do it in January. And the other thing that I see a lot on social media is not taking new clients, existing clients DM me, blah, 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 blah. And it's like this badge of honor, like I'm so cool and so busy that I don't take new clients. That is career suicide, in my opinion. Remember, guys, these are my opinions. I had a member reach out to me and say, I am so booked. He's in a solo suite. He's doing amazing. He took the leap. He went on his own. Everything's going great. He said, I have to close my book. I'm so overwhelmed with people, bugging me to squeeze them in. I said, no. You're not closing your book. And he says, I have these little ladies that I've, grandfathered their pricing. I'm like, that's fine. If you have your little ladies and they're on a fixed income, that's more than fine. But don't close your book. Keep your book open at a higher rate. So make a new client code on your computer system. Make it on your menu. 2022, new client pricing, blah, 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 blah. And don't apologize for it. That's what it is. If you want to see me, these are my prices. So in the workshop that I am doing today's the last day, they talked about how to come up with your price, because we're always like, well, how do I even start? Well, it's a whole long conversation. And my members, we go through this in one of our coaching calls, like, how do you come up with your price? Once you come up with it, I want you to sit with this after we finish this coffee chat. Like, sit down with a piece of paper, write down the lowest price that you would do each of your services for. Like, you would happily show up for work for a minimum of X amount of money. So if it's a haircut, say I will not do a haircut less than $50. Whatever that number is, write that down on a piece of paper. And then write down on that same piece of paper the highest, most ridiculous price that you think you could ever get away with charging. Even if you waited 5 years to get there, it's like the top ceiling for you that you believe. Remember, this whole theme is your beliefs. It's not what the industry says. It's not what I say. It's not what Ted Gibson says, who's charging $1,200, or Sally Hirschberger. Like, their ceiling, they believed that they could get there, and they got there. But it was their belief that got them there. Not everybody has the trust to raise their price to $1,200. So put that hairy, scary goal on that same piece of paper. So you have the lowest that you would do it for, the hairy, scary goal. There's a lot of space in between. So be somewhere in between. Don't keep doing it for what you're doing it for now, because you've always done that. Don't go from here to here. There's a whole lot of room in between, and have a plan for it. Okay, today, December 1st, I'm just going to raise my price $4. Just pick a number. Doesn't matter what it is. Just to get that muscle built of being able to do it with courage. Say it's $4. Now here's a tip. I learned this from the Summit system. If you're familiar with Michael Cole and the Summit and, growing your business through structure and measurements, it's a great system. And they pointed out that most people do not notice a price increase when it ends in numbers other than 0 and 5. We tend to keep things 50, 70, 80, 40, 30, or 35, 45, 65, 85. They're just popular prices, right? So if you're at 50, go to 54. Don't go to 55. Go to 54 or go to 57, but don't go to 55. So take away that 5 and 0 on the end. Some of my members have done that. They're like, oh my God, this is crazy. It totally works. Because we tend to remember clean, even numbers. Oh, it's $85. If it's $87.50, we don't remember that, right? We're like, oh, it's around $85. So try it. Try just going in your computer. Sometimes I would just go in and just raise it. I didn't say anything to the clients. I didn't have a conversation with the staff. I didn't say anything. I just went in, raised everybody $4. Client goes up to check out, and they say, oh, today your total is 87. And they're like, okay. And they hand the money over, and no conversation, no shock. They didn't faint or fall on the floor. They paid it, and everything was fine. And that one rare bird that has the check written out before they even get to the salon, and we know we all have them. I can picture mine right now. I have one client that used to ask to pay, this true story, every single month. She came to get her retouch done. I don't refresh the mids and ends every visit. She's a brunette. She usually is totally fine, but sometimes, elements, out on a boat, vacation, whatever, she would get faded. So she started to notice that like every third time I would refresh her ends, and she saw that it was an additional cost. So she started coming in to the salon for her visit. She was thinking it could be a refreshing the ends visit, And she would go up to the front desk and say, can I pay before she starts me? Because I got to get right out of here after my color, and I want to get that done ahead of time. And they would say, oh, okay. And they would charge her for what was on the book, which was a retouch. And I would refresh her ends, and she would be finished, and she would leave, and I would look at the computer, and I would say, why didn't she pay for her glaze? And they're like, oh, she paid when she got here. We're sorry. We didn't realize you were going to do that. And she did it like 5 times until I realized that's what she was doing. So there's always going to be that person. But don't let that one person keep you from getting that increase from 25 people. That's what we do. We think about that one pain in the ass client that most likely is someone that you want to get rid of anyway. That's the funny part about the psychology of your story, of your worth, is you're dancing around a person that annoys the living hell out of you. You know, that same person, every time she came in to get her color done, she would take 3 snacks from our snack box and say, I'm taking this for my morning coffee. I'm taking this home for my dad for his lunchbox, and I'm taking this home for my son's lunchbox. And she would come right out and say it. I'd be like, okay, clearly the snacks are not meant for your son's lunchbox. They're meant for women who are on the go, who are coming into the salon famished. We try to have, prepackaged things that nobody's touching with all the new things that we have to worry about. But we would have like granola bars and little low salt pretzels and stuff like that. And they would be looting the joint for lunches and come right out and say it. So you're always going to have that client. But if you don't continue to raise your prices and get to where you need to be price-wise, you're not going to be able to survive. And that's sad. I don't want you to be joining. I'm trying to find the comments. I'm on my phone and I still can't see the comments. I don't want you to be one of those casualties that, the 100,000 people that left the industry. I don't want that for you. Karen said, I just raised all chemicals 15% in June, planning to wait till March. Good for you, Karen. Deborah, I'm trusting you 100% today. My prices change after 13 years, but how much do I charge now? Deborah, whatever you're comfortable with, but just do it. Just do it. I promise you it'll be okay. This is what happens. If you look and you're like, oh my gosh, 3 people canceled their appointments and are never coming back, but now your book is open for those people who've been trying to get in with you at that new price. The new client will never book at that price as much as a current client will. So make space. This is another activity that we did during these 3 days of this training. It was really interesting. It was a meditation about making space. So, wow, I'm really going long today, but I'm feeling all the feels, so I have to keep going. So I hope you're still with me. So when I was creating this online business, I was moving to another state. I was walking away from a really busy book. I was booked solid, months in advance, fully booked, 6-figure income, packed to the hills with my clientele. Everything was great on that front. But I was like, I hate the cold. I hate the snow and ice. I hate this dreary weather. I need to be in the sunshine and I need something new. I'm bored to death. I need to move on. So it was really scary. And when I got here in 2018 is when I wrote this story that I just shared with you. My story that I was never going to be able to make enough money teaching to replace my salon income. 2019, I moved here with no job, no guaranteed income. We had money from selling our home, but we were renting a house. So I didn't want to tap into that house money because we knew we wanted to eventually buy another house. So did I have a cushion? Yeah, but I didn't want to rent for the rest of my life. So I kind of put that out of my head and it wasn't a lot because by the time you pay all the capital gains taxes and all that stuff, you end up with not a whole lot. So we had remortgaged the house for the salon. The salon sucked every penny out of me my whole career, but it was also amazing. So not a lot of money as a cushion, a little bit of savings. And oh my gosh, my husband kept saying, give yourself like 3 months, Elaine, like just be for 3 months. I'm like, are you insane? We have a son in college. We have a daughter with college loans. We have rent to pay. We have insurance to pay. We have car insurance to pay. We have all these bills. How the heck he's like, just give yourself 3 months. Like you just moved to another state. So I kept fighting him and I was like, oh, you're not like I am. I'm so, push and go. And he's like, yeah, that's part of your problem. You never give yourself a break. So this meditation yesterday They pointed out that if you don't have space in your life for something new to come in, it's not going to come in. So we think that busy is such a badge of honor of my calendar's full, I'm so booked, I'm so busy. We think that that's success, where success is having the grace with yourself to give yourself some space, to get a damn 1 hour massage once in a while, to just sit and read a book. I can't tell you the last time I just sat and read a book that wasn't a business book, like just a fun, trashy romance novel on the beach. I just don't do it. So in 2019, I automatically went to my default of I went and got a suite. I was like, I have to do hair. Like that hair is all I've ever done since I was 19 years old. I have to do some hair. I have to stay relevant. I have to do these before and afters for this teaching thing. And I got to go run a suite. So I rented the suite, and I found myself everywhere I went. I was like, oh, she looks like she needs her hair done. I'll walk up and introduce myself. I was like in an absolute panic. And I met these women who, this is a whole other rabbit hole I can't go down, but it was like almost like a psychic reading. And I had this reading, and they said, go for a walk on the beach every morning at 6 a.m. and just have that time to yourself. Create some space because you're feeling overwhelmed. You're controlling. I was trying to control every bit of what was going to happen. That's my MO. And I hate that about myself. I'm really trying to work on it. So I listened to them. My husband went away. And I took a week where I did not go on the computer. I did not do any clients. I did not do anything. I read a book. I watched a little bit of TV. I, laid around and did nothing for a straight week. And that is when my business exploded because my brain was free of all the cobwebs and chaos. And I could actually think through what needed to happen for me to reach my goals. When you're so busy doing, surviving, you're never going to thrive. You're never going to get that dream. And a lot of us create the busy to avoid seeing ourselves for who we are. I am embarrassed that I felt that way when I shared this story. I can't believe that I felt that I would never be enough for what I'm doing now because I have 35 years of experience and I love serving my members. I love when they reach out to me and say, here's a picture of my client. Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. What do I do? And I'm like, okay, let's go through this together. Step 1, let's talk about what we have to do to prepare the hair. Step 2, let's talk about what the best next step is. What can we keep in her hair and what needs to go? And we calmly and strategically go through it. And then they share the after with me and we all applaud. All the other members and me and themselves are also proud of the progress. But that's something that I never thought that would pay my bills. I never believed, it was my belief that it would never be enough. Because unfortunately, the hair shows don't pay right now. Like there was a time back in the 80s where if you were on stage at a hair show, you were getting like $10,000 for a 1 hour presentation. Now you're begging the show to let you teach for free because they get all their financial backing from the manufacturer. So I'm an independent hair color educator. If I'm not backed by a manufacturer. So if I teach at a show, it's usually at my expense. And I'm happy to do it because I get to meet so many people, but it's wrong that that's the way that it is, but that's the way that it is. That's why I created Revival because I'm like, we shouldn't have to keep doing what we love and finding our passion and then saying, well, it has to be a hobby like ceramics. It can't be for a paycheck. That doesn't have to be that way. So I hope that this resonated. I think me being sick, this has been a more powerful coffee chat than I've ever had. I hope that you guys are really leaning into this and thinking about what I said. Create space, raise your price, and change your story. Change your freaking story. You can just as easily say, I'm awesome and I deserve ... But don't go ham and go from, a $50 touch-up to a $500 touch-up. That's what happens. That's what you see on social media. Meet yourself halfway, but make a change. Take action. It's December 1st. I promise you this is the best time to do it. And I want to hear from you. I want you to come back to this coffee chat and I want you to put in the comments, I did it. I raised my price blank amount and it was fine. I didn't die. I'm still here. I didn't fall off the bridge. So thank you for letting me share my crazy Tylenol dream, my dream of getting to do what I do today and proving to myself that I could do it. And I hope and wish that all of you will do the same. So thank you for listening, and I will see you next week.